The VTuber world has always been colorful, creative, and full of surprises. But behind the cute avatars and anime voices, there's a darker side, one that smaller creators often pay the price for. Recently, the spotlight turned toward 910 Inc., the company that took over from the remains of Wactor after the agency's infamous collapse. Fans started noticing something strange. Familiar character designs popping up again, but with new voices, new names, and a new narrative. Welcome to the Recast Controversy, where business meets identity and trust in the VTuber industry is on the line. Come along for the ride while I explain to you about the Recast Controversy, the fallout, and impact on smaller VTubers and the industry as a whole. I hope you enjoy the video, and like and subscribe for more. Thank you.
For those new to the story, Wactor was a mid-sized VTuber agency based in Japan that gained a decent following, especially in the Spanish-speaking community. But behind the scenes, Wactor was falling apart. Reports of poor management, unpaid wages, and bad communication surfaced one after another. By 2023, Wactor's brand image was shattered. Many of its VTubers, including names like Mitsurugi Lia, Saohime Yue, and Tsukito Hana, left the company, citing mistreatment and broken trust. Eventually, the Wactor name vanished, replaced by a new company called 910 Inc. Similar to Japanese VTuber agencies, it appears that no company is immune to bullshit. I still don't get why VTubers don't go independent. I understand that getting a VTuber model costs a lot of money, but aside from the model itself, you may self-promote yourself just like any other creator in the world. It's comparable to the music industry in that you may make your own music and try to promote yourself. Alternatively, get signed to a music label. But if I were a VTuber, I would go independent and I would encourage everyone else to do the same.
Talents that debuted with her found immense success with the Spanish-speaking community and were able to truly bring Wactor to the top 10 VTubing agencies in Japan. This is why it was extremely shocking to pretty much every fan of hers and Wactor when the company would post on November 28, 2021, a tweet that said, "Notice of suspension of Lila Shino," saying, "We are grateful to our fans for their constant support of our members. We would like to inform you that our company's member Shino Lila has been suspended due to breach of contract. We have already confirmed the facts with her in question and we will make a decision on how to proceed. We apologize to our fans for any concern this may cause. Other members are fine and we hope that you will continue to support our members as always. Wactor Corporation, signed by the CEO himself, Akira Oishi." Yeah, so that pretty much came out of absolutely nowhere, and there were over 231 replies, mostly in Spanish, begging Wactor to reconsider and hoping that the suspension won't last too long, because I do need to make a distinction here. A suspension is different from a termination. She wasn't being kicked out of the company, she was just being told to pause all her activities. It is, however, seen as a bit of an extreme measure, and it's seen negatively because it's typically the first step you take before terminating a talent. But even with all these factors combined, fans remained hopeful. I mean, come on, this is one of the agency's biggest talents. I'm sure they'll find a solution, right? Well, instead of hope, fans would instead be met with complete and utter silence.
When 910 Inc. began rolling out its new lineup of VTubers, fans immediately noticed something off. The designs of these so-called new talents looked eerily familiar, nearly identical to the models used by former Wactor VTubers. From hairstyles and facial features to the color palettes and accessories, the resemblance was too close to ignore. This is what Dwayne Ada Barain. Just trying to Roy says turn you monthis, cause might there, but had member to the digital avatars of real creators. Essentially, 910 Inc. was accused of reusing or slightly altering the existing designs of their former talents, while replacing the people behind them entirely. The models were given new names, new voices, and new personalities. But to the fans who had followed those original streamers for months, even years, it was like watching someone else step into a friend's skin. On Reddit and Twitter, users began comparing screenshots side by side. One post on r/KUROSANJ, I showed multiple examples. 2 characters with almost identical poses, only differing by a few color tweaks. Another thread accused 910 Inc. of recycling their own history, calling it the most blatant recast in VTuber history. For context, most VTuber agencies own the intellectual property rights to their characters. So, technically, what 910 Inc. did might have been legal, but legality doesn't erase the emotional and ethical fallout. Fans weren't just upset that the designs were reused, it's they were angry that the people who originally brought those characters to life were being erased from the narrative entirely. Some fans described it as a digital form of identity theft, while others pointed out that the practice highlights just how fragile a VTuber's identity truly is when they don't own their model. For the smaller VTubers caught in this situation, the recast controversy hit harder than most people realise. These weren't massive corporate mascots with marketing teams and sponsorships. They were individual creators, many with only a few thousand subscribers, who had spent countless hours cultivating communities, inside jokes, and emotional connections through their avatars. When those designs were taken and repurposed, it didn't just strip away their online image, it felt like losing a piece of themselves. Some of the ex-WACTOR members, like Mitsurugi Lia and Tsukito Hana, had built dedicated fan bases who recognized them not only by their voice, but by the smallest details, an expression, a hairstyle, a gesture unique to their model. Once 910 Inc. introduced replacement versions of those same characters, many fans became confused. Some even thought their favourite talents had returned, only to realise it was someone completely different behind the screen. That confusion quickly turned into outrage. Across X and Reddit, threads filled with comparisons, fan art memorials, and calls to boycott 910 Inc. content. One user wrote, "They didn't just recast a character, they recast a person's history. Despite the growing backlash, 910 Inc. maintained silence, no statements, no clarifications, not even a PR response. This quiet treatment left fans feeling ignored and the ex-talents feeling disposable. And that's what makes this controversy so unsettling. It exposed how powerless small creators can be when corporate control overrides personal identity. For every big name VTuber protected by contracts and sponsors, there are hundreds of smaller ones whose likeness can be reused, rebranded, and sold again. In a community that thrives on connection and authenticity, losing that sense of ownership can be devastating. The 910 Inc. recast controversy might not be the biggest story in the VTuber world, but it's one of the most revealing. It shows that beneath the vibrant energy of the VTuber scene, there's a fragile balance between business and identity. And when that balance breaks, it's usually the creators who fall hardest. Agencies like 910 Inc. might legally own the models, but the emotional ownership, the attachment between the performer and the character, is something that can't be transferred. Once a creator pours their heart, voice, and story into an avatar, that character becomes an extension of who they are. When companies reuse those designs, they're not just reviving an asset, they're reopening old wounds, rewriting history, and risking the trust of the entire community. Whether 910 Inc. meant harm or simply acted on business logic doesn't change how it felt to the people watching. To fans, it looked like a corporate entity trying to erase the human behind the mask. And if the VTuber industry wants to keep growing with trust, creativity, and authenticity, it needs to start protecting those humans first. Because once you strip away the voice, the art, and the emotion that defines a VTuber, what's left isn't a character anymore. It's just a shell.